We're not too far away from rosters expanding. We're going to see an influx of young players make an impact at the big league level, and that's going to mean a lot more waiver wire pickups. But first, let's get to some rookies that have already been playing this year and some veterans that are worth your consideration. And we're definitely going to start in Detroit. Why not the former number one overall pick, a guy who's supposed to be kind of an anchor at first base and help you with power, but he hasn't. Spencer Torkelson was just a flat out bust, and he surprisingly was demoted mid season, but now he's back, and maybe for real this time, things are clicking. Remember, just last year, he had 31 home runs and was an Iron Man playing 159 games. So he was out there, he was dependable. And then this year, I mean, just couldn't get things going. It was definitely not hitting for power. He was down to 201 in terms of batting average all the way into June and only 4 home runs. And really, when he got sent down to AAA, he wasn't exactly raking there either. I mean, he was doing fine in the power department. The average wasn't great, but I guess they figured he paid his dues. At this point, what do they have to lose? They need him to turn things around. And so Torque is back and he looks like a different player. In 5 games since getting called back up, hitting 7 for 17, 2 doubles, a triple, and then finally a home run. We obviously know the upside here. It's 30 home run power. Of course, from here on out, we'll be happy with, let's say, 10. But he can do that legitimately, a power boost that's available on the waiver wire. Some people have started to pick him up. I think the fact that he went deep just now, that's going to definitely increase the interest there, but he's still available in about 2/3 of Yahoo leagues and way more than that in ESPN leagues. And then if you want speed, how about another player from the same team, and that's Parker Meadows. He was a nice trendy sleeper in the preseason, and he was far worse than Spencer Torkelson, because it's not even that he wasn't stealing bases. He was doing absolutely nothing. He managed to pull off a batting average below 100 before getting demoted. That's right, 0.96, and that was on May 6th that he finally got mercifully sent down. He did come back up and then immediately got hurt. Hamstring strain, was out a while since July. Well, now that he's back, he's not only hitting, he is running. He's got 4 steals just in the past week, and that makes a total of 5 in August. But even better, he's definitely trying to make for it in the average category, hitting 352 since August 3rd when he finally put back on the major league roster. And he scored 9 runs also. Now, he didn't play on Thursday. Don't know if he'll really be in there every day, especially against left-handers, but obviously can help you with average if he's finally figured things out. And the speed is definitely nice. There's not too many sources of steals just floating out there on waivers. All right, now it's time to talk about a pair of offensive players from a very different type of team. That would be the Dodgers. And yes, there are still some Dodgers worth picking up on the waiver wire. It's taken me some time. I think I finally have to come around on Gavin Lux. And it's probably just because I was so in on him when he first debuted a couple of years ago, and he was so disappointing. Consecutive seasons, I was just ready to be done. But man, really, just since the All-Star break, he's finally looking like the type of prospect that he should have been. In the second half of the season, hitting 356 with 7 home runs, 21 RBIs across 101 at-bats. And just this past week alone, hitting 370 with 3 home runs. He's definitely got power, which is nice to have in the middle infield. Of course, hitting in that Dodgers lineup is also nice. But finally, it's here. I believe in him. I did pick him up myself finally in one league. I suggest you do the same. Even if you don't have a hole at second base, it's still worth adding him to put in your middle infield spot. And another Dodger that I also was really reluctant to believe in. Not that Tommy Edman hasn't proven himself, because he has, but I just didn't know where he would fit in. Now, I do realize he was traded to the Dodgers for a reason, but I was worried about playing time because they made a lot of moves. They had a lot of bodies in that lineup and on the bench. I just didn't know if he was going to get everyday playing time. And of course, you're talking about a player who hadn't even debuted yet until just a week ago with an injury that lingered all the way into mid-August. Okay, so there are some concerns here. But now, I guess we have to be in on him because he seems to be an everyday player at this point. But they also made some moves that show that they do think he's going to be a regular there. They just recently DFA'd Jason Hayward. a little bit of a surprise. They released Ahmed Rosario about a week ago, and they demoted Andy Pajes. So that definitely cleared some room for him and their other new acquisitions. And one of the best things about Tommy Edman is that he can play almost anywhere. Right now, he qualifies at second base, shortstop, and outfield in fantasy, and they'll use him a little bit everywhere infield, outfield, maybe even DH. So, this is some versatility that's always nice to have. Of course, the main calling card with Edman is that speed. In the last 2 years, he's stolen 27 and 32 bases. Batting average is just okay, probably looking at 250s, 260s again. But obviously, being in that Dodgers lineup definitely makes him more valuable because he can score some runs. All right, I want to throw out a catcher for you for those of you who stream, or maybe you're just tired of waiting for your catcher to come around. You just need somebody who is hot to get you through this final stretch, maybe the playoffs. It's been about a month since I first said you might want to stash Adrian Del Castillo, Arizona. He was absolutely lighting it up in the minors. All he needed was an opening because, well, Gabriel Moreno was blocking the path. And then he isn't. He's gone, injury. Del Castillo got the call, and all he's done is light it up since he's been on the Diamondbacks roster. Over his first 40 major league plate appearances, hitting 361 with 3 homers and 14 RBIs. And again, this is just a continuation of what he's doing at the AAA level for his second season, really. He was hitting 319 with 24 home runs and 70 RBIs before he got promoted finally. And so he's definitely going to stick in there the way he's hitting. Of course, like a lot of, battery mates here, along with Jose Herrera, he's going to switch. He's not going to play every single day. Most catchers don't. And being a lefty, he'll probably sit against lefties. But man, when he has games like he did the other day, a 6 RBI game, a 4 RBI game, yeah, it's going to be worth it. And then another rookie that I want to circle back around on, John Quincy Noel. At first was looking like an intriguing stash, and then he was a hot pickup, and then he got dropped in a lot of leagues and people forgot about him. It's time to get him back again because he is heating up. Over the last 9 games, he's got 4 home runs. And the better thing is that he's actually getting everyday playing time because he didn't really have a home position. He can play either corner, infield position. He can play in the outfield. And right now, it looks like right field is his home, sometimes DH. But again, the important thing is he's getting those ABs. He's getting more comfortable at the plate, getting that experience, and he's powering up. Now, some of the usual concerns you have with a big hulking slugger like Noel, they're showing, and by that I mean a 30% strikeout rate. Not good, and that is actually proven by a chase rate, which is really, really bad. But it's interesting is that when he gets a pitch to hit, when he has something in the zone, his zone contact rate is actually super high. And it's gone down a little bit recently, but yes, when he gets a pitch to hit, he doesn't just hit it, he crushes it. His maximum EV is elite, and so while he'll have plenty of offers, he'll also have plenty of home runs. All right, now as far as pitchers go, I guess let's just keep the theme going with players that I was out on until now. I am finally in and convinced because I've seen the changes that I need in Bowden Francis to make me a believer. Again, I don't want to, and you shouldn't necessarily just buy into a player because they have 1 or 2 really good starts when they had been bad previously. Because we see all the time pitchers have a couple of good starts, look great, and then they get rocked again. Hello, Nick Martinez. But Bowden Francis has changed what he's done, and that's what's interesting. Now, at the very beginning of the year, he was the 5th man in that rotation, kind of earned a spot because Alek Manoah lost it again. But he was horrible. Like, honestly, in April, his first 14 2/3 innings pitched, he allowed 14 earned runs, and that included 4 home runs, 7 walks, as opposed to 17 strikeouts. Really, the only good thing is he did get some whiffs, but it didn't matter because he was giving up a run per inning. And now, fast forward to August, after a lot of time kind of in limbo, in the bullpen, not being part of that rotation. And now that they've tried him again, it's working because he's changed things up. In his last 19 1/3 innings pitched, he's given up a total of 3 earned runs and only walked 1 batter, with 22 strikeouts also. So what did he do? He basically ditched his curveball. That curveball was his second most used pitch early in the season. Went from 34% usage now down to 5%. He's all but abandoned it. And meanwhile, his split finger fastball has gone up from 7% usage to 24%. But besides that, he's also just been a lot more effective with his fastball. In fact, look at his fastball chase rate, it has skyrocketed. And again, this is just a matter of locating it better, but also keeping hitters off balance more instead of just sitting and trying to wait on that slow curve. Well, he's mixing it up. The splitter and the four seamer are a little more similar, and so he's spotting it better altogether. He's getting those whiffs still and not getting rocked. And as if you needed more reason to pick up Bowden Francis besides how he's done lately, how about the fact he gets the Angels next? I really shouldn't need to convince you anymore to pick up Cody Bradford, his very last outing after I said you should pick him up last week. Just kind of reinforced that. It wasn't even his best necessarily, but against Pittsburgh, he went 7 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, but 8 strikeouts, no walks. All told, he's got a 3.56 ERA, 0.95 whip on the season. That's pretty nice. But remember that he had that patch right before and right after his long stint on the injured list. Other than that, very beginning and now, of course, the very most recent part of the season, he's been dominant. His last 4 starts in August, a 22-3 K to BB rate. Now, you really don't have an excuse not to pick him up, but if you really need another nudge for whatever reason, how about his schedule coming up? He gets, most likely, based on the projected starts, the White Sox and then the Oakland A's. Now, I'm not as sold just yet on Frankie Montas, but he's obviously looking like a good pickup right now because he's a different man because he's switched teams. Now going to Milwaukee, he has been loving it and they have been loving it. 13 straight scoreless innings from his last 2 starts. He's blanked his opponents, and overall, since going to the Brewers, a 2.57 ERA and a 1.19 whip. He could definitely keep it going because he also is scheduled to face Oakland his next turn, also his former team. Now, Montas will not get you as many strikeouts as the other two I just mentioned, but keep your ratios low, and I would say probably a stronger chance to earn a win or maybe even a quality start than the first two. And if we're looking for the closers du jour, well, we know Hector Neris is gone finally from the Cubs. Of course, Adbert Alzolay has been gone. So who's the closer now? Well, it's probably the guy I suspected as soon as he got called up from the minors several weeks ago, Porter Hodge. Just picked up his second save on the season, and really it looks like it's his job because honestly, who else is there at this point? It's not Tyson Miller. If they wanted him to be the guy, he would have been the guy by now. It's nobody else. And so Porter Hodge has been really good this year. He's allowed a 181 expected batting average. He's got the high strikeout upside. I mean, he's just the guy right now that you want in that bullpen, if anyone, and probably one of the best options for saves that is freely available in a lot of leagues. But I saved the trendiest pick for last. Despite the fact that, well, he only has 1 save on the season, it seems like Edwin Uceta of Tampa Bay is the more popular pickup because, well, he's a Tampa Bay Ray and you know them and bullpens. No, that's not the case this year, right? This is not the same Tampa Bay team. Obviously, the pitching staff, the bullpen, it's been terrible. But hey, go for it. You need saves. He's got one. Look, he has been really good all season. I will give you that. In 30 innings pitched, all told, from the bullpen, a 0.90 ERA and a 0.57 whip, along with a 34% K rate. But again, you know what happens. A guy who really doesn't have experience at the major league level closing at all, or really in that many high leverage situations, things don't always go well. So you need saves. I hear you, but just good advice in general. Don't go chasing waterfalls. You want to get a hold of some of those rookies who are starting to heat up and the ones who haven't yet gotten the call but might very soon. Check out the latest Beat the Breakout for some of my favorite prospects that could help you in fantasy.